Hello guys, and welcome to a new Steel Division video today by me, Vulcan. Today I have for you Corbeau versus Protosszocker in round 3 of the 3rd Asia Pacific tournament. Today we're going to be seeing Cheux, and on the Allied side we have Corbeau with the 6th Airborne, and on the Axis side we have Protosszocker with the 9th Panzer. So the 6th Airborne is definitely a division that I have not seen in ages. They are, in my opinion, one of the weakest divisions in the game at the moment. So it'll be interesting to see how Corbeau decides to handle the division, and will show us some new strategies that might make people pick up this division a little bit more. But I think the main weaknesses of the 6th Airborne really come from their availability as opposed to their power in the early to mid game. I think they are pretty strong in Phase A, really strong actually, and moving into Phase B, they do kind of retain some of that strength, but in Phase C they just kind of run out of units, and that can really let the game fall away from them, especially if it's quite close throughout. You'll just see the 6th Airborne just suddenly collapse, and there is nothing they can do really to stop it. On the side of the Axis, we of course have the 9th Panzer, and they're obviously a lot more standard. We see a lot more play out of the 9th Panzer, especially with things like the Panzer II Lux, Panzer 1Cs, Befehl Panzer 2Cs. I always talk about the Panzer II combo, which is, you know, Panzer 1 and the two Panzer 2Cs, or Panzer 2s. And yeah, that's definitely very effective against lighter armed divisions, so divisions that don't have very strong armor. In this case, the 9th Panzer could work out really well, because on the side of the 9th Panzer you have those Panzer II Lux, but on the side of the 6th Airborne they have Tetrarchs, and Tetrarchs are actually quite low armor. However, they work in a similar way to M22 Locust, and we have seen in the past the 101st Airborne do pretty well with the Locust versus the Lux. So it depends on range mostly. The Tetrarchs will have an advantage at range as opposed to the Lux at closer range. Of course, there is the Marder 3 here, as you can see on the side of Protosszocker. He is going to be bringing that in, but let's see first of all the units going down on the side of Corbeau. So we've got some infantry heading to the very top here, probably to hold the front line forwards. We've got a unit of infantry, some recon in there, and the command infantry following up. For the mid, it's just going to be a few units of infantry dotted about to hold that front line forwards. And on the bottom side, look at this. 2 Tetrarchs so far. There was a third, but it's just been taken away. Command infantry from Corbeau and an AT gun at the backside there. It looks like that Tetrarch was changed to the top side. It's going to be a 14 AP Tetrarch Little John, joining him into the town. Interesting choice. Definitely a very potent vehicle at close range, but lacks the accuracy in general to get the job done. That's the same for all Tetrarchs really, and that's one thing that is kind of, I think, bad about them in comparison to Locust. I think Locusts have 5 accuracy as opposed to like the 4 accuracy I think that Tetrarchs have, as far as I'm aware. Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see exactly how this goes down. This Marder 3 will be able to hold the open here for Protosszocker on the bottom side of this map. That's going to be supported by the spear troop here, and then there's going to be 2 Panzergrens, command and AT going towards the mid. Looks like 2 units of Panzergrens for this town, with the Panzer II Lux supporting, 2 of them up there actually with the command. They might be able to sweep through the infantry of the 6th Airborne if Corbeau is not too careful. But here we are, we're underway, and we'll have to see if Corbeau can show us how it's done with the 6th Airborne. I'm actually really excited to see a different division in play this time around, and it'd be good to explore some of the units and how they match up to some of the more competitive divisions. So I hope Corbeau continues to use this moving into the semi-finals if he wins, because either of these players can move on to the semi-final. That is what's at stake here. So all to play for, and definitely going to be interesting to watch. So command arriving already in the town here. We can see that they have slowed down there. The fast move order was a bit odd. Took them off road. But that's going to be the Pathfinders, their airborne paras. I wasn't entirely sure if these were going to be like airborne paras or airborne Bren group, so that's why I didn't specify when I was pointing out the units. But here the Panzer II Lux going to be engaging the airborne leader, and it's also going to just rip to shreds that Tetrarch Little John. Meanwhile, on the bottom side, Pack 75mm has been unloaded, does have the command radius from the airborne leader. That could be pretty deadly for this Marder 3 if Protosszocker is not too careful. And the thing is, if this Marder 3 goes down, there's going to be so much space for these Tetrarchs to make ground. We can see this 251, that's going to be in trouble as well. That's going to be taken out by the Tetrarchs eventually. The Speed Troop have been surrounded. They don't affect the front line because they're recon anyway. So these Ox and Bucks have actually got into a really good position. And it's more Ox and Bucks in the mid that are struggling a bit more. But on the top, looks like Airborne Paras and Pathfinders should be able to hold the ground for now. The Command Infantry did die. And like I said, that Tetrarch Little John as well. But the Airborne Paras and Pathfinders are so good at close range that these Panzergrens are going to find it real hard to take those out. And the Pathfinders do have the smoke there to be annoying, which is great. Now, the Pack 40 is engaging the Marder 3. And that is not something that you want to see out of the side of Protosszocker. And, well, that's going to pay dearly because the front line will start falling well in favour of the 6th Airborne early on. This Pack 40 may be the key that Corbeau needed to win this early on. Panzer II Lux has been brought in to kind of counteract the Tetrarchs getting close. But in the open, like I said before, especially with the command radius from the airborne leader, they should be able to challenge this Panzer II Lux quite nicely. And even if they don't have the command on those Tetrarchs, they're going to match up to this Panzer II anyway, because that Panzer II doesn't have veterancy either. So at close range here, you can see these Panzergrens really suffering in the face of the airborne Paras. The Paras are going to be able to just jump right on top of those Panzergrens. They might also be able to pop into the building next to the Panzer II Lux and kill that off as well. But this engagement really, really nice here. Not ideal that the Panzer II Lux can get involved, but still, easy kill there onto those Panzergrens. More infantry and reinforcements coming in and onto the top side. One of the Tetrarchs has gone down here. The Panzer II Lux showing up and making short work of this Tetrarch. Looks like it was a side armor hit, and side armor hits into Tetrarchs are never good because it only has one side and one rear armor. So there we go, Panzer II Lux showing that it can stand up to these Tetrarchs. But with another one coming in and the Pack 40 at its back, it's going to make things incredibly difficult. Pack 40 can also help pin down these Panzergrens, giving the advantage to the Ox and Bucks. This Pack 38 is actually in a nice position here though. If it can maintain the 1000 meter range, we'll be able to start popping these Tetrarchs, but it looks like the Tetrarch's just out there. And Panzer II Lux here, not really doing the job that is needed of them. Ox and Bucks are pinned down. Panzergren's getting very close there. Looks like Corbeau's not going to allow those to get surrendered though. It's quite action-packed start to this game, that's for sure. Sort of skirmishes going on all across the map. A new Tetrarch Little John has been brought in up there, and that's going to be looking to clean up these Panzer II Lux. But again, accuracy does let it down. It's 5 accuracy on the Tetrarch Little John, no veterancy. So compared to a 2-star Panzer II Lux, things get difficult. So new Ox and Bucks have arrived at range. Never really match up to Panzergrens that well because of the MG42. But the great thing about Ox and Bucks, they have high veterancy and they're still decent at like relatively long ranges. They're like basically buffed Bren group, in a like airborne Bren group, because they have the Piat as well. And they have 5 Piats actually, which is quite a lot. Now of course Piats aren't the most reliable, but still are a threat. And on this bottom side, Marder 3, well, that just cleaned up a Tetrarch. Looks like it's going to be up to the Pack 40 again to take care of that Marder 3. But a +1, 56% territory now in favour of Corbeau. Has been ticking up that +1. Little John pushed its way to the top side to help pin down those Panzergrens. Ox and Bucks at close range. Defeat Panzergrens quite convincingly. Panzergrens have 5 HE versus the Ox and Bucks 8. Similar to like the Rifles Panzergren matchup. But yeah, it's just on this Tetrarch Little John really to take out this Panzer II Lux. But the closer that the Tetrarch gets to the Panzer II Lux, the more likely the Lux is going to win, just because it aims and gets on target a lot quicker. But yeah, Panzergren's of course going to win that engagement, but the sniper now getting involved, and I think the sniper actually outranges the Panzergrens. So that sniper can quite simply keep shooting those out of range. Actually, no, they don't. Yes, they do. My bad. 500 versus 400 meter range. Yeah. I thought, for some reason, I thought that the Panzergrens had 600 meter range, but yeah, the sniper should be able to do the job there, pin down the Panzergrens, allow the Ox and Bucks to engage much more effectively. So I like the choice of the airborne sniper there. Pack 40 on this bottom side is going to be smashing this 251 half track, forcing that back. Slowly creeping up into the face of this Marder 3. It looks like Protosszocker is going to need to find something to deal with that sooner than later. He has chosen to use a half track, but if this Pack 40 keeps sneaking forwards, it could make things difficult. He's got to try and keep this mortar half track out of line of sight. Ideally, what I would do in this position is allow Corbeau to keep pushing up for a little while, get the mortar behind this tree line, and wait until that pack comes into 1200 meter range, and then you could safely engage it. Whereas here, this is not a safe engagement. See, you can see the range there onto the mortar is the same range that the Pack 40 can fire, and that Pack 40 is actually going to end up cleaning up, or at least forcing back that mortar, and that's not what Protosszocker needs, because it's pretty much his only option for taking care of this Pack 40. And as soon as that Pack 40 gets out of the way of this tree line, the Marder 3 is in trouble as well. And, well, Protosszocker going to surrender. Looks like the options for countering the Pack 40 there were not in Protosszoker's division. The only other choice I think would maybe be some air force of some sort, maybe like strafe it to death, or at least strafe pin it and then kill it with the Marder 3. Or you could, of course, mortar it, but that would require maybe like smoke play there would have been an ideal thing to do. Just kind of smoke towards it to give yourself that sort of buffer to play around. But didn't do it in that case, and ended up getting his mortar half track killed off. So yeah, unfortunate really. Protosszocker going to be knocked down to the lower bracket, into round 3 of the lower bracket. And yeah, that's just it. I'm surprised it ended that early, actually, considering the circumstances. The 6th Airborne definitely falls off into Phase B and Phase C quite hard. So I'm surprised that Protosszocker gave that up. Yes, he probably would have ended up losing the town as well to close range infantry, but with the 9th Panzer, you can play around that town quite easily, especially into the 6th Airborne. Now, the 6th Airborne, moving into the later phase, does get their hands on challengers, which can, deal with Tigers. But the Tigers in Phase C, with the high veterancy, should win, because they should be 3-star if you have a command near them. And then those will pop challengers quite easily due to their low armor values. So yeah, in my opinion, maybe a bit premature on the surrender there, but could also be frustration, especially losing that mortar is very unfortunate, especially considering that was probably his answer to that Pack 40, and without that, his Marder 3 was very exposed on that bottom side. And yeah, I don't know didn't know what to expect. I kind of thought that the use of the 6th Airborne would come mainly down to the Tetrarchs being relatively cost efficient in Phase A against certain divisions. So in this case, the Tetrarch versus Panzer II matchup, but didn't end up being the case. It was Pack 40 that just showed up and did the job, and that's not the first time that I've seen that be the case with any division that has the Pack 40 in it in Phase A. For example, the 17th SS can quite simply just be carried by their Pack 40s. Same with the new 2nd Panzer, actually. They have the 1-star Pack 40s. Those things can just be absolutely terrifying to play against if you don't find a counter for them. So, in the end, 430 kills to 195 losses, and vice versa for Protosszocker. 518 points is what it ended on. Like I said, a bit premature, in my opinion. But Corbeau going to be moving on to the semi-final to play against Eugen, and that will certainly be an interesting game. Protosszocker is going to be dropping down to the lower bracket to face off against APT. So I still think some good matchups to come, but just a bit of a shame that this ended prematurely, as I was really looking forward to seeing the 6th Airborne be played competitively. So the Airborne pack there, yep, finishing off one of the Marder 3s. Ox and Bucks actually, with their Piats, took out 2 of the Panzer II Looks in the town. We must have missed that. I assume that was in the town at the top side. And with those blows across the map, things not really falling in Protosszoker's favour. And he's going to drop that quite quickly indeed. Interesting. But either way, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed my analysis of the divisions as opposed to the game, as it was rather quick. But it'd be interesting to see if the 6th Airborne comes out again in competitive play in the future. I hope it does. In the meantime, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.